Finally.
He's a rock star.
Good evening, sir. I'm just going to walk around. You guys ready? Chris, I'm attached to the laptop.
You can't go anywhere.
All right, I hope you guys had a good lunch. Did you go to the Cubex launch? Did you enjoy it? It went up in the air.
Woo!
Yeah.
Now the cable guy's outside trying to fix the cable.
Go helium.
Are there any hotel problems? Cable? I'm not getting HBO.
So, before we start the next talk, we also have all the contests are going on now. Deobfuscation is live, CTF is live. If you sign up for Tamper Evident, you are lamenting why you did that in the first place about right now.
Yeah.
But this is Chris, Charlie, and M, and they will be talking about this year's badge.
Okay, so just as an upfront warning, we haven't really slept in the last 24 hours, so if we seem a little off, that might be why.
I got an hour.
He's got an hour. All right, so just a little background. We've been doing, this is the 4th year we've done electronic badges. We really try to make something really cool and interesting. This is the first electronic badge that we did. This was a mini synthesizer. This was the speaker badge for the same year. This was actually the first badge that I had kind of done solo. It was not easy, and they made me do it just to learn. So, bunch of bullies. Then we did an RC remote, and it came with a little shield for speakers as well. Then this is last year's, which was really awesome because it was a little mini oscilloscope and logic analyzer, also with some really cool LEDs, just to have more blinky. And when all else fails, they make really great coasters. Okay, so as a background for this year's badge, this is totally something that we've tried to do before. When NSL was first started up, we did this Proxmark 3 LCD as a group project, and it was a lot of people had not done tiny surface mount soldering before, and it ended up with a lot of troubleshooting. This is a printout that this is Daku's photo, credit given. This is something that we printed out at NSL so that you could kind of track the massive amounts of components that it took to build this board. This is when things went wrong on one of the boards. We had to do a lot of different antenna tests. There's the LF antennas and the HF antennas, and we kind of had to make our own. A lot of different tests. We tried CNCing our own, and that didn't work out. So this year, Charlie had started the badge design at last year's LayerOne with the goal to have it done by Christmas, because that's always kind of the goal, to have it done by Christmas. And believe it or not, we had a revision done by Christmas. There was actually a badge totally done working by Christmas. First ever. First ever. A badge. One badge. Singular. So, sorry. Like I said, little sleep. I also only just finished this. So, okay. So the Proxmark overall is a really complex board. There is roughly 200 parts. It can definitely be tricky. So you can understand how someone might go a little bit crazy having to route several revisions of something like this. There were lots and lots of revisions. For one of them, Charlie spent about 10 hours straight trying to finish it to make a deadline to order the PCBs. And there was another revision that we actually titled Charlie X has lost his mind because he had done it so many times. Right, you made it. Yes. So the first revision that we did, it didn't have a hardware SPI, and it turned out it wouldn't run fast enough. So we had to change it, and then we added the hardware SPI, but then we missed a few items, made mistakes on the PCBs. Then we made another revision and missed some power lines. So that was, well, we actually didn't end up getting that one made. So we didn't have to worry about it. It would just moved on to the next one. So there were two revisions that we did that used the STM32F1. Charlie worked really, really hard to get this one to transfer from the FPGA at 13.56 clock. But then ARCO discovered that there was a 24 megahertz transfer required, and there was absolutely no way that that chip was going to make it happen. So on to the next one. So then we started using the SAM7, which was because we knew it would work because it was on the original Proxmark. But we did make it new. But we did make it better, and we did include the 512K flash memory. So it is an improvement. Oh, and the whole reason why there was the Charlie X lost his mind is because after we had already submitted this year's badges, he went ahead and made a whole new one. Just 'cause. This is this year's. And, okay, so just a little background on the ordering process. We ordered these from a lot of different places. The first boards we actually ordered from inside the US. It is really expensive, but supposedly it doesn't take as much time. They claim to have a 1-day turnaround. It ended up being about a 4-day turnaround and about $300 for only 5 boards. But when we're trying to do quick testing, it can be convenient. But when we get these boards made for the conferences, we go through Silver Circuits, which is in Malaysia, so it takes a little bit longer, but definitely cheaper. So if anybody is interested in making their own PCBs, it is definitely a company worth looking into. I did. They're really great at, we have a pretty well ongoing relationship with them, so it's a love-hate relationship, really. Let's see. Sorry, I lost my spot. 1 second. Okay, so one thing that when you do order PCBs, one thing to note is that they charge based on the square inches of your board. So it doesn't really matter the shape, it's the overall square inches that it takes up. So when we ordered the LF antenna, we had kind of planned out how much it was going to cost. We submitted the order, and we noticed immediately that it was far more expensive than we had calculated ourselves. And the reason for that is that when you do circular boards, you want to kind of turn them to an angle if you have anything protruding out of them, so that way it's not taking up any additional space. Well, the first time we did it this way. So it was taking up more space, and the cost increased significantly. So just a side note when you're making your own. We also found out, and this is something that I had only just learned, and we were told by by Silver Circuits, is that apparently it's really difficult to make coils. They're really, really touchy in every step of the process, and so there was a really good chance that they wouldn't work, but they did, which is great. Okay, so some of the background on what it takes to bring you this badge: tons and tons of time. So there is like months of planning, different revisions, ordering boards, testing the boards, ordering the parts, and a huge invasion of space. This is my dining room table. It is a 10-foot long table. It is covered in parts, and all of these parts are actually being used on the badge. So they're not extra parts. They're all of the parts that are actually being used everywhere. This is the kitchen counter where we are making stencils. So there's paste everywhere, lead all over the counter. We pretty much ate takeout and didn't eat and didn't really use plates because it was everywhere. It was on the floor. There were tissues everywhere. This is a completely different table where ones are being assembled. It's a huge invasion of space. Okay, so what does it actually do? It might do nothing, but what it could do, what it's supposed to do, is read RFID cards, obviously. You can clone the RFID cards. You can simulate replay, which is simulate any recorded card that you have. Analyze waveforms. You can intercept information from other readers. And you can save. We've also included an SD card pad so that you can use that to store information. And we are still building these, so if you haven't really seen any around, it's because they're still being assembled, hence the no sleeping in 24 hours. They're, with a big shout out to Morpheer, Jessica, and JK, who have been staying up with us to help us bring you these boards. So yes, a round of applause for them. They don't have to do it, they're just doing it to be nice. And some people were under the impression that we were going to provide these as kits. It would be really, really difficult to give you a kit to do, like I said, over 200 parts.
You can have a kit if they come and pick them out themselves.
Yes, so we have the parts. So if you want to make your own kit,
No. Don't offer that. That's horrible. No, it would take you days
It would
to
ta-
put together, so.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, but we will have kits, but the kits are just going to be, they're going to be a lot less parts, significantly less parts, and it's basically going to allow you to use the OLED on the board. It also comes with a really awesome SAM7, really expensive chip. So,
And that's because we ordered little cheaper chips, but they're really small. They don't fit on the board. So
Again.
we're going to give you the more expensive chips.
That was revision one.
which is really important why checklists during this whole process are really important, so that you double check all the checklists, you check your inventory, and you make sure all of your parts fit before you show up to the conference.
Because you know they're both called SAM7 chips, and you would think.
They'd have the same pads, but they don't have the same pads.
No, man. They don't fit.
So we will have the kits. We're going to start selling them after the talk in the Hardware Hacking Village. They're going to be $40. It comes with a set of instructions. When you buy the kit, there are only a limited amount. So when you do buy them, there are some specialized instructions that I will give to you because there's no way I can write them down without showing you on the board. And now we're going to do a little live demo. No, we're not.
So we're not. 'cause
Okay, apparently we're not.
My battery died.
With the both batteries died
I've been playing with it all day.
because it's rechargeable, and it died literally as we came on stage. So we're charging it. So if you want to stick around for 20 minutes.
So, a couple of notes for those of you who are going to get badges this weekend. The battery runs at 3.7 volts, and a little circuit boosts it to 5 volts. And normally on those kind of circuits,
There you go.
wireless.
Oh, it's wireless. You can sit. You can sit.
Oh, look at that technology. Okay, so normally on those type of circuits, it would cut itself off at like 2.3 or like 2.5 volts, and I decided to let it run as far as the battery would allow. So in theory, you can run it down to 0 volts, which isn't very good for the battery. But I figured, you know, you're all adults, you can figure it out. Also, it gives that extra like 30 minutes of runtime. So the batteries are the replacement batteries for a Apple iPod 2nd generation Touch. So they're about $2-3. So if you do run yours down and it dies, you can order them. Pretty easy. It's a part number. The board can destroy itself because it makes enough power on the output to come back around and zap its ADC. So that's exciting.
And that actually happened.
It has happened. So it's a
But
Take it seriously.
but that's a good thing because you want to be able to send as much power out as possible, right? Because you might have a bad tag or your target might be far away, or the wallet that you're investigating might be shielded in copper, like this gentleman over here. So that's a good thing. What else? Things that could go horribly wrong.
You gonna tell everyone?
Oh, the black deck. Show 'em
Oh, so yeah, so the guys who pre-ordered just got kind of a placeholder badge, and what it was gonna be, and it on mine it actually is a second layer, like it's attached, like so. I don't know if you can see that. And I've wired up a coil at the bottom, so my Proxmark has a built-in internal antenna, so it's like, you know, boop, boop, as opposed to normally. So normally you have this thing hanging off, and that's your low frequency antenna. I have this little itty bitty coil in the back. I have extras of these, so if you come find me, I can give you one. And I think I'm gonna hand it back to you.
Huh? Okay.
So, can put it back.
Okay.
So anyone who's familiar with the Proxmark, we decided to start the development on an older version of the Proxmark branch, which was the Proxmark 3. There's been another LCD version of the Proxmark, which we built like a couple of years ago. It doesn't work. It's never worked. The HF doesn't work. We got it to work once. So this is a completely redesign of the Proxmark 3 with the real antenna path done properly. So it's a Proxmark 3 antenna path with the OLED, which is different, the SD card. It's got the 512K chip. There's a speaker that is not connected to a PWM, so it's just clicky, unfortunately. So I'm going to change that, which I noticed this morning. But it's fully compatible with the GitHub version of the source code. So you can download the source code. I made a VM, which is unfortunately uses Ubuntu. It's got GCC installed and everything ready to go. All you have to do is type make. We also included the reflash for it. You can reflash it through the GUI. So there's a command line tool that once the flash is initially loaded, you'll be able to replace it. Just before we started the demo, we tried it, and you can see here is a test that the antenna is 13.56 volts, 125 kilohertz, which is, you know, plenty to read a tag, which we would have done live on stage here right now if it hadn't been that. But this is the newer GUI. So one of the reasons we started to do the Proxmark is because when we initially did it, it's horrible. There's someone coming towards me. I need an adult. Oh, sorry. Where was I? Got it. So yeah, the Proxmark 3, when we first started using it, it was awful to use. Like, no one knows how to use it. So my first Proxmark was actually a stud finder. I don't know if anyone's seen the video of it, but it plays The Simpsons and finds studs in walls because I couldn't be bothered using the GUI. So there's a Windows one, there's a Linux one. This one's all kind of nice. You can just open it up and click on it, and it will work. Or you can just use the command line version of it, just like if you're used to using Proxmark, and it works with that too. So all of that is there, all of the tags. And then Radio War came out with a Chinese one. It's compatible with that too as well, but ours is way beyond that. So I think this is a better one to do. One of the things we're going to do as well is switch the antenna drivers so that we can do more than 13.56 megahertz. Because currently it comes off a crystal, but because of the new chip we're using, there's 152 megahertz, I think. The STM-FD324, it's got a megabyte of ROM as well, and that's going to be that's the one where I lost my mind. I decided to make that one about a week and a half ago, and we're going to keep going with that one and keep making it. But I think this one's going to be a lot better, and it's certainly, if anyone's got Proxmark 3 LCD, you cannot get the HF to work reliably, but I think this one will work really well. I made a Windows version of the build as well for people who don't like using Linux, because I don't like using Linux. I like using Windows. So that's polarizing, but there you go.
You heard him.
I'm having a contest in the hardware hacking village. If anyone can write Microsoft Word quicker than I can in Linux versus how quickly I can write in Windows, then sure, it'll take me 5 minutes because I'm going to use the GUI. But you got the flash tools and stuff like that. They're all ready to go. Is there anything else we want to say about it?
After the conference, we hope to make this available for sale, but don't ask us when.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to sleep.
We're gonna sleep for a really long time.
Sleep.
And take a nice
And then we'll
long
build
break.
some. Then we'll build some.
All the
Never seeing these things again.
yeah. All the code is on RSVN. It's on GitHub. And we can,
So where all the boards,
Yeah.
all design files. So if you're so motivated, you can go and make one yourself.
yes.
Also in the Eagle file, if any of you guys do plan on taking a look at
Well, we'll fix that.
the board in Eagle off of our SVN, we have included the manufacturer part and the DigiKey part numbers in the part information, so in the properties of the part. So you can pretty much take that and build your own, order your own
Oh,
parts and
actually,
everything.
no. Not yet. There's some errors.
Okay, so soon,
We'll,
soon.
we'll fix them though.
The
Yeah.
ability is
We'll
there.
fix them.
Yeah,
There's
so
just one part that's flipped. And
Yes.
It's all kinds of bad.
which
So.
for some reason the manufacturer decided to swap the ground and the reset, which was,
Seriously,
Yeah.
it's two parts made by the same company, 3 pins. It's a reset switch. You would
Microchip.
think like it would just
Pick.
work, but they decided to make these 2 pins different on a part, and so yeah.
Yep. And also those lists, we sent out an email like 2 weeks ago saying, hey everybody, I think I fucked up these lines. Can everybody look at them? And everybody wrote back to me and said, hey, they're fine. And I'm like, oh great. And yesterday when I was building the board or writing the code, I was like, this line doesn't seem to be connected to the CPU, doesn't seem to be connected to the OLED.
Hence the happy fun
Jumper.
wire that goes from this little pad to this little hole over here.
Yes.
Under the screen, you can't see it, but it's happy.
So when you ask people to verify, just remember they'll just write an email back saying, yeah, everything looks fine, but they didn't actually look at it.
Those are the instructions, by the way, I was referring to earlier with the kits. You're gonna have to put those wires on.
It's one wire.
It's one wire. It's really easy, don't be intimidated.
It's not that easy.
Any questions?
Questions? Questions?
Yeah.
Chiptune mode still?
Yes, it does. It's preloaded with like 100 different chip tunes. Oh, we did forget one thing. On the back of the badge, if you flip it over with the side that has the doesn't have the logos, you'll notice there's a chip that doesn't look like it's connected to anything, and it says "Good Luck" next to it. Everybody see that? Thank God. That's all I want. I just wanted to make sure the right. No, that's a Bitfury ASIC, so it's capable of generating bitcoins at 5 megahashes. If you put that chip on there, I have some of those chips, but unfortunately I left them at
Hold on.
home.
Just
no,
full
that's fine.
disclosure. Okay, fine. Good luck.
That's why I said good luck.
Mine's
Good
not
luck.
there.
That's why I said good luck.
You'll be fine.
It will work if you put
It'll be
this.
fine.
If you
It'll
put the
be fine.
circuit in, it will work, and you can connect it to
It'll be
the
fine.
arm, and it will run.
Any other questions?
Add a heatsink.
Does it do NFC?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, because that's just RFID at 13.56.
It does. It does, and it does 143, 144B, all the usual stuff. But they've added on a whole bunch of stuff, which is kind of what I was saying before. Is like when we initially started the Proc, it was crap. But people have been working on the, for some reason, decided to pick up the GUI in the last year or so and added a whole bunch of extra stuff. Texas Instrument stuff. It can also rewrite cards. I don't know if people are familiar with the Proxmark. We're assuming they are. But you can clone a card. So you can take a card, it will read it, put a blank card on it, it will overwrite it. And you can also overwrite some cards, even if they're not being pre-programmed. So as well as the ability to clone and simulate, you can just copy cards with it like crazy.
Okay. Next question, anybody?
What was that question?
Okay.
Your fab shop's doing a QA, or is it all up to you?
We're the fab shop.
Did you not see the kitchen picture?
You see the kitchen table?
The fab shop.
You see the scars on my arms? These are actually where I tried to slit my wrists like 2 days
The
ago.
Fab shops. That's great. Yes.
How does it handle formatting?
Formatting. No, I was talking about Word as the GUI thing. That was a joke. What do you mean?
So, for formatting, apparently there's one of 150 or so different formats.
Oh, the GUI has like
Oh, you mean of RFID tags?
yeah, they're all
Right.
listed in the GUI.
So,
here.
unlike most commercial readers, which have a set number of things they can decode, FSK or whatever modulations they use, this is just a MUX controller and FPGA. So if a new format comes out, as long as you know what that format is, you can program the FPGA to decode it for you. This has quite a few, like some obscure ones I've never even heard of. You'd be pretty hard pressed to find one that isn't already supported by it. But in case you do, it can be added.
Yes.
You're in paint.
Major Malfunction just did a Kickstarter. He has a library of a couple of decades with probably 1,000 different formats of obscure, hotel and laundry tags and high security tags that they're doing an open source library for.
Yeah.
Should probably be ported to this.
What's
So there are I think they call them RF tippers.
Yeah.
so,
yeah.
what's his name again?
Major.
No,
Stuff they've done for hire that they've saved the formatting info for will probably be available for that.
we've been talking to Zach. Who's part of Show Archers as well.
Yeah.
Zach was actually going to come out for LayerOne. I don't know. I mean, Zach was going to come and do a talk at LayerOne, so he told me at DEF CON last year, but he was also really drunk and just staring at Chris's tits all the time, so I'm not sure if that was really what was going on, but he hasn't answered any emails, but he's working really hard on that. And we've been kind of chatting to them about it a bit too, because they're interested in the Proxmark too, but yeah, I think we want to do something with them.
Only when battery died.
Yeah. But yeah, it's nice that the battery died as the live demo, which is the cardinal rule of demos: never do a live one, right?
All right.
All right.
We'll be in the hardware hacking village
Sleeping.
area if you have questions. Or, you guys. We'll still be
Okay.
We'll
We'll
still be
still
there.
be there.
Or not. Or I got questions or not. Can't stop us.
God damn it.
Yeah, battery.
I know. Huh? Yes.